Welcome back. If you've joined us from the beginning, by now you will have been introduced in our first video to a business-first approach to gender inclusion, and in our second video to some specific strategies that you can use to better understand and address your women customers. You'll remember that women customers are one of the three common entry points for businesses aiming to become more gender forward. These are the workforce, market, and value chain. In this video, we continue to focus on those three entry points, and we delve deeper into the third one, the value chain. In particular, we'll speak about the different ways in which applying a gender lens to your distribution networks can expand your market reach and lead to efficiencies and savings in the process. So if you work with sales agents, employ third parties to deliver products to your customers' homes, sell to shops that engage with customers directly, or run your business in any other way where your customers don't purchase from you directly, this video is for you. I can imagine that your very first question goes something like this. Why should we include more women in our distribution network? How does this benefit us? Well, at a high level, bringing more women into your distribution processes can improve your sales performance in a number of ways. On the one hand, if you are aiming to reach more women customers, using women distributors is a good way to go. Women customers in different sectors have been shown to prefer engaging with women sales agents or distributors. But beyond that, research has shown that women may outperform men in sales activities anyway, regardless of the gender of the customers. There are certain best practices in sales, such as a more collaborative or listening-based approach, that women agents have been shown to possibly be more effective with. And finally, by taking a more gender-inclusive distribution approach, so not only bringing in more women, but also looking at gender-specific differences and barriers and addressing those, you could also achieve lower costs and greater time efficiencies. So, if greater market reach, increased sales, and efficiencies are something you're interested in, which I imagine you are, let's talk about how to get started. A common misunderstanding here is that to be more gender inclusive in your distribution networks, you simply need to bring in more women. And while this is definitely a key aspect of it, there is more to it. Ultimately, the aim of gender-forward business practices is to understand and address gender inequalities. In other words, leveling the playing field. You may remember this example from our earlier introduction video. A sports match is being played, and spectators need to look over a fence to see the game. Unfortunately, the shorter people can't see over the fence. To address this, you could treat all people equally and give them a box of the same size to stand on. But the tallest person doesn't need a box, and the smallest person still can't see over the fence. So if you want to treat people equitably so that they are all able to see the sports match in the same way, you could support the smallest person by giving them 2 boxes and not giving the tallest person a box at all. Now everybody can see. In life, due to limited opportunities, bias, and other discriminating factors, women tend to run a few boxes behind on men. So gender-forward businesses aim to understand which boxes women might be missing and to provide everybody with the boxes that they need for equitable outcomes in life. And this same approach can be applied to your distribution network. You want to make sure that your agents and distributors, both women and men, have access to the right tools and support to best do their work. And some of the boxes that tend to be absent for women versus men can be quite a barrier for their ability to make successful sales. For example, women might have limited time available due to multiple care responsibilities at home and in their community, or they may lack access to private transport options or be otherwise constrained from traveling, sometimes at certain times of day. There might also be social norms that mean it is considered less appropriate or acceptable for women to engage with many strangers while doing business. And a lack of finances or access to financial services such as credit might put pressure on their business activities. You can identify potential barriers by thinking about your distribution network through a gender lens. Start by knowing whether your distributors are women or men. Next, think about what kinds of gendered barriers they might face. And the good news is, there are ways that you can help to overcome these barriers. For example, in the case of limited time availability, a Salesforce manager might adapt their approach to sales planning and put in place more regular planning sessions. This can help agents coordinate on their plans and help them use their limited time more effectively. When considering barriers related to transportation, the company might either provide a stipend, so helping agents to pay for transport, or they can provide transport themselves. And the short-term investment in this service may very well be offset by the increase in sales effectiveness. Finally, you might consider looking into digital sales strategies. Various digital tools might enable your agents and distributors to overcome a number of barriers at once. Being able to multitask or sell from home could help with the time and transport limitations. When pursuing a digital strategy, however, it is important to keep in mind possible differences in access to smartphones and data, as well as the required tech savviness, so you may want to include this in training. These strategies may sound like a big investment of time and money from your side, but when done well, they can really pay themselves back in increased sales effectiveness, such as in this example. In India, a company selling clean energy products to households used direct sales agents, both women and men, and mostly targeted low-income customers. The company realized that their women agents were not reaching their sales targets, so they spent some time speaking to them to uncover what the problem was. The company realized that their women agents faced certain challenges that their men counterparts simply didn't have to deal with. On the one hand, the women agents were less likely to have access to finances to buy demonstration kits. And on the other hand, they were limited in their travel outside of the home. This was both due to cultural norms, but also concerns about security for women traveling alone. Together, these two elements put limits on how many customers the women agents could possibly reach. To address these challenges, the company provided access to finance for demonstration kits. And they also adapted their training and sales approach, focusing on the opportunities to make sales in a group setting, and this reduced the concerns due to cultural norms and security. The outcomes of both approaches were significant increases in sales. For the agents that received finance for the demonstration kits, their sales increased by 85%, and the agents focusing on group-based sales increased their reach by 78%. This made it clear that upfront investments to overcome gender challenges can definitely pay off in greater reach. More importantly, this experience taught the company that sales and distribution strategies may need to be adapted to the different contexts of women and men for positive results. If you would like to start applying similar strategies to your sales and distribution network, I'd like to direct you to our guidelines for working with women sales agents. We've summarized some of the most high-impact strategies, and we give you a sense of the time and financial investment that might be required for each. Of course, keep in mind that each business and context is unique, and the success of each strategy will depend on the extent to which you can listen and adapt to the experiences on the ground. But once you start listening, I'm sure you won't be able to stop seeing opportunities to improve.